Good afternoon. In the studio where Jim comes to shine. So good morning, good afternoon. So this morning I was a speaker in Clubhouse and we were talking about positive affirmations and ways to self-heal and things of that nature. So I wanted to share what I stated earlier, but with a bigger audience, family, friends, and their friends, etc. So basically, what I was saying was what helped me on my journey of identifying who I was and what I needed to do kind of to steer my life in a better direction. And that doesn't mean I'm in a materialistic space, but on a more spiritual understanding of myself and the connection around me with everything and even the people. So the first thing I brought out was the fact that all of us or a they, and I was stating how I would always call myself they instead of just me, Mari, and this and that. And people be like, oh, you're bipolar, multiple personality disorder, and all of these things. But it's really because I would have three different thought processes, like figuring out solutions to a problem going on. And I'm like, wow, that's kind of crazy that I'm getting 3 different answers on what I need to do, right? We all do that. We have an issue and we try to come up with an answer and it's like, no, do this, no, do that, right? So I identified those for myself. And the first one I identified was body, right? So our body is our flesh. Our flesh is touch, sight, hear, basically anything in regards to fulfilling your flesh, whether it's gluttony, lust, envy, resentment, bitterness. Those are all things involving the flesh. Those are not things of any other entity but the flesh. And a lot of us in today's society operate with our flesh, guys are fulfilling their lustful desires, having 50 million babies. Some guys, not all, women or fulfilling their flesh by being envious of their sisters, not all, some. I'm just giving you some ideas and some examples, So that was the first thing I brought out. The second thing I brought out was the brain, which is another thing most of society use today, which I say is the brain and the body. The brain is one of the weakest body parts. Yes, I said it, because it can be very easily programmed to believe whatever they want us to believe. Psychology has been one of the main things studied, and they spend millions and millions of dollars in psychology in the industry because it's all about mind control. It's about controlling one's mind to believe something or to perceive something a specific way. That's not you. That's your brain. That's what's been programmed since you were a little kid in school. So you understand that's a different entity. So your body is a different entity experiencing this life. Your brain is a different entity experiencing this life and being influenced by this society. And the next thing I brought out was your gut. Our first brain is really our gut. When something bad happens, or when you guys know when you have that feeling, where do you have it? In your gut. That's what you feel. You feel it in your gut. It's like, oh, somebody just passed away. It feels like you're getting stabbed inside. When you're going on your first date, you're getting butterflies. Like, that's literally where our discernment and our wisdom lies, not in our brain. It's in our gut. And a lot of people, a small percentage of people use their gut. A gut and anxiety is not the same thing. Anxiety belongs to your brain. That's from people telling you, do this, do that, do this. So now you're just so confused and you're so lost. You're already dealing with the entities within yourself. And then now you're dealing with what other people told you to believe. So you're just all messed up, all screwed up, all depressed, anxiety ridden. You understand? So we have to understand why we are feeling these ways and understand where or what it's coming from, so we can start kind of attacking it and doing our self-healing and our inner works, shadow work, whatever you want to call it. So the last but not least is our spirit. Only a small percentage of people are truly synchronized with the spirit, honestly. Many people can be self-proclaimed spiritual leaders, and it's fine, but Are you literally being who you are? Are you being your inner child? Are you being your authentic self? Or are you playing a part? When you're synchronized with your spirit, it's easier to connect with your ancestors. It's easier to connect with your sisters and brothers around you because you don't see them as an enemy. You don't see them as an issue. You see all love. You know what I'm saying? So when you synchronize with your spirit, it's just easier to embrace humility. It's easier to embrace kindness because you're not thinking of the programs, you're not thinking of flesh, you're not thinking of anything else but pure authenticity. And so once you realize all of these different entities within ourselves, I believe that's where a lot of the self-healing starts, you know? So since we're talking about ways to identify and then rectify these things, what I did in regards to flesh, that's hard for everyone, you know. I was an alcoholic, among other things that many of us succumb to in this society, you know, and I had to first realize the whys, you know, and challenge myself to stop these things because they were not serving my flesh. Yes, my flesh wanted it, but it was not serving me, because if it's ruining my kidney and my liver, how is it serving me, you know? So these are things I have to start thinking about in order to ascend to a higher level of self, you know, in regards to brain. I had to start writing. I started writing a lot. I did stop, but I started writing more because I wanted to just kind of see what my thought processes were. Like I can have journals from 11, 12 years old, you know, and stuff like that. And I like to go back and read stuff that I've written to kind of see how my brain has evolved, or if I kind of think the same way and things of that nature. So we just literally have to diligently, like, and consciously, and intentions are important, but the actions have to match. You can say my intentions were this, my intentions were that, but the actions have to match of you trying to reach a higher level of yourself to be better for your community as well. You know, we all connected, you know, and we have to be better for ourselves and for each other. So within regards to the gut, so I sell detox and anti-parasitic supplements. Another thing we don't realize is we have other beings, which are parasites, living inside of our gut. So that has a lot to do with why we feel the way we feel, why we think the way we think sometimes. So we don't understand how much stuff can affect us, you know. And these are really, really great for the cleansing of your gut. And gut, like I said, is in charge of discernment and things of that nature. So you want to have that on peak so you can see every red flag and act on that red flag, not just say, oh, red flag, but I want to fulfill my flesh and go along with it anyway. Nah, let's stop that in 2021. So last but not least, synchronizing with the spirit. That is who we are. That is, my inner child is full of life. Like, I want to have fun. I want to go on an adventure. Somebody else's inner child may be different. They might like to write books, but they can't because they're stuck working a job where they're an engineer or a mechanic or something of that nature. So once you synchronize with your spirit, you can find more of your purpose. You won't be having to go to this person, that person to ask them what's your purpose, because you will already know. You understand? So if I would listen to my brain, I wouldn't speak at all, because the world told me, oh, your voice isn't appealing, or, you know, things of that nature. That's things I had to get over also. We have to go on our journeys and get over these things, but you have to want to do it, and you have to put in the work, you know. Nothing's going to come easy, and it's not always somebody else's fault. Sometimes it's us, and we have to do the work on ourselves first. So I just want to leave y'all with that, and just to kind of reiterate what I said. You want to definitely be guided by your gut, which is your discernment, your wisdom. Be synchronized with your spirit, connection to your ancestors, connection to yourself, embracing your inner child and your authenticity. And you definitely want to reprogram your brain. First, unprogram it. Get all that trash out. I like, the more I study, the more I realize it's just trash, lies. That was put in my head. I locked them out. last but not least, forgive your flesh and do not succumb to it. You know, so don't give in to those cravings of, oh my gosh, don't give in to that anger. Don't give in to that frustration. Don't give in to that negativity. Don't give in to that lust. Don't give in to that gluttony. Don't give in to that envy. At the end of the day, all of these entities do work together, but it shouldn't have, the body and the brain shouldn't have power over our whole life experience. So now my kids are about to knock down the door. It's been real.